Hello, this is Andrew, and this is Project 2 Functions. Hopefully by this point you got through Project 1, you got your XAMPP environment configured, you're able to get in and do a little PHP script and create a web page. So now what we're going to do is move forward with Project 2 and do functions, and this is IS430 web programming using PHP. Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. This first part is pulled pretty much from the rubrics, and these are just various requirements down here. So basically what this is saying, to sum it up, is you have functions that you can create, and then functions that are already created for you. And then as this project, we're going to use both. Okay, we're going to create 3 functions, and then after that we're going to use the PHP date time functions. Okay, so basically here's the functions we're going to create. This is the outline of the procedures. We're going to create an add function, create a string function, and create a recursive function. That's 3 functions. And then we're going to use the date time functions that gives us the number of days between 4 separate events. Okay, so this is what your web page layout will look like. Of course, your CSS should look better than this, but this is the general idea, is that all of these functions are going to be working at one time and be on one web page. Okay, so the first one is going to be, okay, these first 2 come pretty much from the video I posted to you about functions. So the idea is the first one is almost exactly like the video. The second one is close, and the third one is a little bit from the video, but you're more on your own. Okay, so the first one is just simply, you'll be on the web page and a user can put in 3 numbers like 5, 12, and 14, and then push a button and it says, okay, the sum of 5, 12, and 14 is blah. Okay, so that's number 1. Simple enough. And like I said, he basically did almost exactly that in the video. So number 2 is you'll input 3 comma separated strings. So like oranges, apples, bananas. That'll be number 1. The user puts that in. Number 2, the user puts in another string. Number 3, the user puts in another string. And it pulls the third word out of the comma separated string and creates a new string and displays that to the web page. Okay, then the third one is you're a little more on your own, is this is create a recursive function. Okay, a recursive function, that sounds scary, but all it means is it just keeps calling itself until it's done. So like this one, I input 3 numbers, say 2, 4, and 6, and it only calls the function 1 time, adds them up, and it gets 12, and then comes back to the main program. Well, this one, it's going to say your number is 5, it's going to do 5 times 4. Okay, that's good, but that's not really the complete factorial. So you have to call the function again, times 3, times 2, times 1. You get the idea, until it's done. We'll talk about it a little more. Okay, the event is input and output. So you'll input a date, whatever date you choose. That's what it said in the rubrics. You choose 4 dates, and it's going to give you the date, the number of days between those dates. So one might be January 3rd, 2012. And the next one is March 5th, 2014. So the number of days between there. And then the same with all 4 events. You get the idea. Pretty simple. So we're going to talk a little bit in detail about each one of these functions. So for the add function, create a simple add function that adds 3 numbers input by the user from the web page. Okay, so I want to see you do as many different things as he did in the video. So you want to include this function in the same document with your main program. Okay, then pass all 3 parameters to the function and return the answer. Now also create default values in the function for the parameters. Okay, so he did that in the video. So go ahead and do that, and I'll test that Tell me what your default parameter is, and I'll test it and make sure it works properly. Okay? Okay, so let's go on to the string function. So this, again, is simple. Create a simple text function that accepts 3 strings from the user input on the web page. Okay, these have to be comma separated. The function creates a final string or array by taking the third word of each string. Display the result then answer to the web page. So for example, the user inputs orange, apple, car, box, dog, cat, horse, pig, run, jump, eat, sleep. The output is one string, which is car, horse, eat. That's the third comma separated word from each of the 3 strings. Okay, pretty simple. All right, so here's your recursive function. You can read through here. In general, a recursive function works like this. Okay, so your regular calling code, you call your add function, you say you have 246, it calls a function and returns the value. Okay, it was only called, but what happens with a recursive function is you have to have, it keeps executing the same function. It calls itself until a condition is met. So the calling code calls the function, all right, so we're doing factorial, so let's say 5, calls it, so up here it does something, which is probably 5 times 4, and then it says, is it done? And then it says no. So it comes down here and calls itself again and does 4 times 3. Is it done? No. Come down here and call itself again. You get the idea. It calls itself again using the same number and multiplying it. Got it? All right, one more time. So the number is 5. It comes in, it does 5 times 4. Okay, it says, am I finished? No. So it goes back and calls itself again. So the 5 times 4 was 20, so now it's 5 times 4 times 3, which is 60. It says, am I done? No. So it calls itself again, and it's 2. It says, so 60 times 2 is 120. So it says, am I done? Well, technically you could be, because any number times 1 is itself, but if you want to go ahead and include the 1, you can. So you say no. So 120 times 1 is 120. So now it equals 0. I'm done. Return the value, display it out to the page. Okay, that should be pretty simple. I wasn't actually planning on giving you that much detail, so you lucked out. All right, so anyway, I think that pretty much sums this up. Okay, so this gives you all the steps right here that we just discussed. Input a number from 1 to 20. Reject numbers that are not 1 to 20. This function code, I want you to have it on a separate document. Okay, so this recursive function will be in a separate .py document, and you'll use include to call it. Okay, just like he did in the video. If you watch the video, that shouldn't be a problem at all. Just use include to call the function. Okay, so the recursive function will perform the factorial of the number by multiplying the number by 1 less and then calling itself until a completed condition is met. Like I said, I really went over that more than I wanted to, but although the code is, you can probably Google recursive function PHP and get it. So it is what it is. All right, so display the number to the resultant web page. Okay, good. Now for the date time functions, refer to this web page for available functions. Okay, the user inputs 4 events by dates. Use the appropriate date time function to determine the number of days between the events. Display the number of days between events to the web page. We already discussed that. That should be pretty clear by now. So then just do a write-up. Submit a short write-up through the shell with your .py scripts. And 1 paragraph is enough describing what you learned, what research you did, problems you had, and how you solved the problems. Okay, great. So what I want to do quickly is just take you to, I want to quickly take you to, the date time web page, okay? Here it is. So let's take a look at that. So this is what it's going to look like. So by the time you get to the end of this project, you'll be an expert at using functions. Here's all the date time functions over here. And, just use the ones you need. You may only need one. That's for you to determine. All right, thanks a lot. Enjoy the project and have fun. Thank you.